Okay guys, welcome to our monthly Mindset and Confidence webinar or session or whatever you want to call it. So as part of being a member, we have these sessions every single month. Okay, we're going to be popping them out. There are going to be loads of different topics. Sometimes we'll have a guest on, sometimes we won't. But just for the first one, we'll keep it really simple and we want to go through a few bits and pieces. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet every single time we do it, because we just don't want it to be I suppose me speaking to the camera and you looking at me all the time, because obviously you want to get as much value out of it as possible. So today is just all about the confidence reset. So when you go and you make a mistake, it's all about the next action. Maybe you were growing up playing sport as well, if you're a father or a mother listening to this, and you were just told, especially maybe when you were a child, it's all about the next ball, the next ball, the next ball. Now, that's a lot easier said than done. Obviously, we have different personalities that we all develop based off our, I suppose, life experiences. From the age of 0 to 7, you are developing your personality, okay? And as soon as you get past that, pretty much that's your personality, and then that shapes up how we react and how we, I suppose, deal with different things in our life, right? Whether that's in sport or whether that's in life in general. Now, you can get to a point where you can do lots of work on yourself with your personal development and that, but a lot of the time, if you're a player and if you're a young player, you're just working off the life experience that you may have, and you may be very young, so it might be very much so you're learning on the job, I suppose. So I suppose this is all based around when you make a mistake. So whether that's you're losing a ball, you miss a shot, you make a mistake in any simple way, it's the unconscious 10 seconds after that mistake is what we really want to focus on. So we're looking at the next action that you can take, and then often it's the body language starts to change. We start to close up, we start to look at the floor, we might throw our hands in the air, we might give out to maybe one of our teammates, we might give out to a coach, we might start to ignore, you might be the child that starts to shell up. That's another side of things that can happen. And I suppose when we do these sorts of things as a parent, it's very, very important that you notice what personality type your child is. Okay, are they the type of child that will shell up when, I suppose, things get a little bit tough? Are they naturally very shy? Are they a natural warrior? Or are they maybe the high adrenaline type of a child who will almost be like a lunatic? Now, I'm talking in extremes here, that will fight back naturally, and both are very extreme now that I'm explaining here. They may be a bit of a go-getter, but they might be a bit fiery and they might be hard to control. On the other sense, it might be very hard to get that kid going who shells up if they do fall into that low confidence state. Okay, but both are very, very lacking in confidence when they're at both extremes, because as much as the child may be fiery and have loads of energy, they're going to burn out, and they're also going to end up not enjoying the football. So we want to find that happy medium where there's action after a mistake, and we don't want to ruin a child's confidence. We want to grow it, and we want to build it through resilience and being relentless, but we don't want it to be something that's just going to break them down as well. So maybe you as a parent have learned through life that maybe you had to go through some difficult times to build your mental toughness, absolutely, but maybe the way you were taught was the tough approach. Maybe that worked for you, maybe it didn't, and maybe it took you a very long time to get out the other side of that. And we're looking to use that education that we've got in our I suppose life and during sport that we've gone through and applied, so these players that we work with learn even quicker and they're further on down the line before we ever got there. So the pattern is usually that they go through is they make a mistake, right? Like I said, whatever that is, you lose a ball, you're dribbling and you're trying to take someone on, and someone tackles you and you fall on your face, right? You're flat on the floor, right? That puts us into, I suppose, firstly, we have this emotional state that hits us. So maybe the fear of them going scoring a goal and it being my fault, right? So first, the fear kicks in, right? So the cortisol in the body starts to flow, right? So we have all this worry. Then I'm put into this emotional state. So this emotional state might be embarrassment, right? I'm thinking in my own head, and it's all the voice in my head. I'm telling myself, my coach is going to take me off. All my friends are going to be laughing at me. We could be talking about extremes again. I may never play for this team again. I'm quitting football. All of these different things, right? That's what ends up happening in a child's head, and that's the reality of it, right? And maybe at times you don't have to be a child. Maybe you're still playing and you go through these things, right? So you're in that emotional state, and that shapes our next action. Our next action after that mistake might be very slow getting up. You see kids pretending that they're injured. You see loads of different actions. Maybe you throw your hands in the air, maybe you start giving out. And then what happens as a ripple effect of that, we end up affecting all the other players in the squad. And that's not what we want to be doing either, because we're dragging the vibration, the emotional state of the whole group then down, all because of this one mistake. And then normally we have more mistakes that follow. And again, it's like a spiral. So how do we interrupt that pattern, right? So we're looking at creating this reset routine for every single mistake, right? Whether that's in training, whether that's maybe a mistake in life, because like I said before, we're trying to prep people, to be better parents when they grow up, to be better footballers, obviously. But again, if we can take this stuff and apply it into every part of your life, then we're doing our job, right? So we're looking at a reset routine. So as soon as you make a mistake, we want you to name it, right? So name it, put a name on it. It's just a mistake, right? That's all it is. Now, obviously, we're doing this in hindsight. We're looking back over maybe the session that we had this morning or the session that we had last night, and all of these different things, and we're analysing it, especially if you're an overthinker. So if your child is an overthinker and they're going home in the car, I guarantee that's probably what they're thinking about. They're thinking about the session that has just gone. It's very important that we start to build this reset routine in. So you name your mistake. If you have to put a different name on it, you put a different name on it, right? So we go from there. So firstly, you name it. After that, we were looking for the reset. Okay, we need to interrupt that pattern. Like I said, emotions are going to kick in. So how do we interrupt that emotional state? We can use our breath. So that's one. So we can start with a deep breath. So as soon as you make that mistake, it's like, hold the breath, and it's like a right, and then I go. So then we have the thoughts in my head then, where we use the affirmations. So we're resetting our focus to my next action is the one that I'd love everyone to get. The next ball, the next action is the most realistic, right? You're starting to tell yourself, I am good enough, I am enough, I'm a machine. Especially when you're tired, I'm a machine. That's when the voice in your head starts to kick in a negative way. So we're looking to, even if we don't fully believe it right now, in moments of difficult times, in moments when you make a mistake, you're looking to affirm positive thoughts into your brain, right? And your brain starts to pick it up and your brain starts to apply it. Okay, so we're changing our emotional state regardless whether you believe it or not. Okay, and then obviously it will be our next action. So our next action would be going chasing after the ball and winning it back, going and tackling someone, going and getting on the ball, getting into space and getting on the ball and demanding the ball again, right? So that's an important bit, because a lot of people shy away from that after making a couple of mistakes. So that's not something that we want to be doing. Okay, so that's our reset routine. So can we name it? Then can we interrupt our pattern, right? So I mentioned the breath. If this is happening in a very quick space of time, obviously we have the chance to breathe. But look, if we look at the best players in our area, if we look at the best players maybe in Cork, Limerick, Kerry, wherever you're based, and you're looking at this, they're the players that just react the quickest. They all make mistakes. Yes, they may make less mistakes, but they recover the quickest. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to lower the recovery time from a mistake. You look at the Premier League, they make even less mistakes. But do they make mistakes? Absolutely they do, but they recover the quickest, right? So how can we apply that to our life, right? So maybe you have a little wristband, right? I don't have one here now, but I know people who would have had different little issues and they want to interrupt the pattern of different little things. So every time we do a certain action, my one used to be a clap in a game. So every time I make a mistake or I misplace a pass or anything like that, I go, so action actually came really quick, so it became natural. But any time I give that pass, I used to give myself a little clap, and then I would go, I'd form in my head, right, go get the ball back. I am quick enough, I am going to catch him, and then I would go with my action and I would go and meet him with a tackle or whatever I needed to do, okay? And eventually that gets quicker, and at 10 unconscious seconds after a mistake starts becoming a lot more productive rather than me maybe sulking, me maybe actually affecting my confidence in a worse way, in a more negative light. So that's our little reset that I'd love people to do. So name it. Now, in the moment, really, when you make your mistake, you're not going, right, that was a mistake, and then you're breathing, and then, right, I go chase after him. It happens in a split second. The only time when we will name it is when we're looking back over a session and we go, right, that was a mistake, right? When I really look at what I done, how did I react, right? What emotional state was I in? Was I angry, right? Did I lash out? How did I communicate after that? How did I speak to myself? How did I speak to others around me? Did I speak? And then what was my action after that? And then we would look at how we would apply that in the next session then after that. So look, confidence isn't perfection, right? Confidence is just all about having trust in your intuition, and confidence comes from competence, right? Doing things over and over and over again until you eventually get it. It doesn't happen the first time you do it, it doesn't happen the second or the third time, it happens maybe on the 100th time, it could be at any point, but you do it over and over again until it is unconscious, right? Until it's wired into your brain that you don't even think about. You brush your teeth, you don't even think about it. And you might go with the same hand all the time, you don't even think about that. Okay, all the little things that you do, we don't have to consciously think about, but the unconscious 10 seconds is what's going to affect our emotional state probably the most after we make a mistake, right? And the mistakes are going to happen, and the mistakes are good because we learn from them. We absolutely can learn from them, right? So what kind of affirmations can we get in? So I am good enough, I am strong. When you're tired, it's telling you to slow down. You're going, right, I'm going to keep going. So all I can, I will, I am kind of statements, they're the kind of ones you can make your own. They don't have to be mine, right? Because it has to be your energy attached to them, right? And these things, when you get to know your child, right, these are the things that you can use, and they're tools that can help you as a parent to bond with your child as well, right? Because after a session, after a match, right, the car journey home can be both a really positive thing and both a really negative thing, right? There's kids out there where the car journey home maybe might be something that worries them. They're already upset maybe over losing a game or making a mistake that maybe has affected the result of that game, right? Winning and losing happens, right? They need to learn that, and it needs to happen. But in saying that, we've got we've got to learn, how do we process all of these emotions now that we're feeling? When we can't ignore them, we need to feel our way through them, right? Because what we don't want to I suppose teach is for people to go, right, we're going to name it, we're going to react in the right way by our reset, by interrupting that pattern of just being really negative, right? Then we have our affirmation, and then we have our action, right? happens really quick, that's great and all. But when you finish the game, what way do we feel? We might still have this belt of adrenaline of he done that to me, or she done that to me, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. That's still absolutely normal, and you can't stop that from coming in, right? It's about how we process it then after that will affect our next I suppose wave of thoughts, right? So how do we process that as a parent? Your conversation with that child on the way home from that game should not be, why did you do that? And you're poking, you're going, you should have done this and you should have done that, and so on, right? If you're doing that to your child, what do you think is going through their head? They're only putting more pressure on themselves, and this might seem like a very basic thing, but a lot of people do it unconsciously, right? Because they speak to their child like they're an adult. We're invested, right? Because you, as a parent, want your child to do the best that they can do. They can be the best that they can be. And they need freedom to learn that, because when they get a little bit older and they come to maybe 16, 17, 18 years of age, they have to stand on their own feet, right? So we need to guide them the way through it. They have freedom to go make mistakes. They have freedom, in my academy especially, to go make mistakes. But what we do have control of, and what we do have guidance upon, is how they react around those mistakes and how they can, I suppose, respond around that. But it's up to them to do the work. It's up to them to react a certain way. And whether they get it the first time or not, that's no problem, right? But they need to get it eventually, and it will click, and we need to believe in it for them to believe in it, okay? So we're looking at their body language. When a child starts to close off their body language, when the child starts to drop, their belief starts to drop, their confidence starts to drop, their energy starts to drop, the breathing system starts to get hijacked, they start to hold their breath unconsciously, and they start to shallow breathe, or shallow, they have all this shallow breathing, right? So we're not even recovering as well. And then when we look at the body language going the opposite way, even when we make a mistake, and you kick the chest out and you start to open up, and you truly say, right, I'm going to do this, and you believe in your own intuition, and you believe in your head that I am going to do whatever you need to do in your next action, the breathing starts to open up, the chest starts to open up, we start to take this big deep breath, we start to recover, and we have this belt of adrenaline now in the body, and things start to process and things start to flow. And all of a sudden, if you've ever looked at a child and they're in that flow state, when you've been in your flow state, right, you're in your element, you're just working, you have those creative brainwaves coming, that's when you will work the best. That's when your child will create the most chances, maybe in a game. They will play the best in a game when they feel as free as possible. So that's what we're looking at, right? So the body language is really important. So can they show like they want to get on the ball after they've made a mistake, regardless of how many mistakes that they make, right? Can they show that, right, I'm confident in my ability, I'm confident in my energy, and I'm confident as a person in my self-worth, right? These are all things that I want to lift up as a player, as a parent, as a child. But as a parent, you need to do this as well, because they're looking up to you. They look up to me or my coaches when they come train with us. So it's up to us as a coach to provide good body language for them to mimic, because they mirror everything, right? And we're going to go through the mirroring thing in a different one, but they will mirror everything, and whether that's conscious or unconscious, because we notice absolutely everything. From if your child is walking in and the father and the son is walking in, and maybe the father has a limp from a couple of years ago, and he had a bad injury and he never got it fixed, and maybe he hurt his knee, and that's why he never went professional, and the child is walking in and the child has the same kind of bit of a walking gait, he's a bit of a limp in him. And is that because the child has a pain in his knee? I don't think so, because they're just mimicking unconsciously everything that they're soaking in. You remember I said from the age of 0 to 7, they're taking in everything. They're developing their personality, right? And that comes from everything that we see, everything that we hear. So when we look at like how we pick up accents, how we pick up different voices, everything that we taste, everything that we smell, all these different senses develop all of this on top of the personalities that we develop as we go. So then we have our intention. So the intention behind what we want to do, because what are we really looking to get out of this game, right? Are we looking to build our confidence? Are we looking to get friends out of the game? Are we looking to go and maybe make a career out of the game? Because that's a reality for some kids that we want. I was lucky enough, football is my full-time job, so that's something that I always wanted to do, and I made it happen. But that was a clear intention that I set as a child, right? So that's the way we need to start thinking, and it doesn't have to be as serious as that. But if we want to get as confident as we possibly can get out of our football, then these are the steps that we need to take. Then it's all about our actions. There's no point in being the person who says all the affirmations, we do all the emotional work, and we do the little resets and stuff, and then we take no action. Okay, so we want to reward trying and all of that, and trying to do the right thing, and even if we don't succeed, then we want to reward all of that, but we do want action behind it, because we reward the action. Because we all know when people in our lives, lads, that say that they're going to do a lot of things and they don't do them. They don't follow through, right? And you have a lot more respect for the people that say that they're going to do something, they go and do it, and maybe if it doesn't work out for them, at least they went and done it, and at least they have no way of saying, look, well, I didn't give it everything that I have, because I'm after throwing the hat at it, and I'm after doing everything in my power to achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve. Maybe I didn't get there, but I've experienced life, right? And that's something that we want to really instill into people, is we need action, and we need to put a bit of power and our energy behind it. Okay, so as a parent, I spoke about what we want to avoid. We want to avoid the car journey home going, why'd you do that, and you should have done this, and you should have done that. What can we do instead? Okay, so maybe you reward the one brave moment that they had, the one or two positive things that they may have done in the game, right? If they've set a goal before the game, can I go and can I get 3 tackles in, or can I get 3 headers in the first half? Did they achieve that? Great, let's reward it. Say, well done, all of these different things, right? So we're uplifting them there. But maybe they didn't achieve it, right? And then how do we approach that, right? So maybe instead of telling them, maybe we can ask them, can we guide them along the way? So right, you didn't achieve your goal, but what other approach may work to achieve the goal if we set that goal again? Maybe it's a thing that you set a goal of scoring a goal across the 90 minutes that they played, or whatever it was, and they didn't score the goal for whatever reason, right? How many chances did they get? Was it realistic that maybe they could have scored a goal? So we have to bring that element of realism in, that if they're playing as a centre half and they didn't score a goal, then maybe the amount of opportunities were slim for them to score a goal. So maybe we're being a little bit hard on ourselves. So maybe we have to look at that approach at times. So we don't really want to mollycoddle them all the time, because then we're not going to build, I suppose, strong, resilient people. But if we go too harsh, then we're going to break down their confidence, because we want them to learn this. We don't want us to just push our agenda onto them, because then all we're doing is we're pushing a routine onto them that eventually is going to crack if they don't have a bit of backbone behind it, right? Because they need to know it, not just be told. They need to understand it, they need to be able to apply it, and they need to be able to apply it with action and intention behind it. So that's the most important thing. So remember, guys, confidence is not about perfection, right? It's about learning to trust your intuition, right? So I hope you've all enjoyed. It's a short one, it's a sharp one, and it's an approach that I would love us all to take. Our reset routine is all about naming your mistake that you've just had, your interrupting of the pattern. So maybe it's a breath, maybe it's a wristband that we flick. We'll find our own reset. I used to have a clap It might be something so simple, right? Whatever that is, but we decide, and you can decide your one. Okay, it can be absolutely individual. And then we'll have our internal voice, so our affirmations. So I am going to get them. I am going to score the goal. I'm going to go get on the ball. I am enough. You're telling yourself you're strong maybe when you're tired, when you're going through those difficult moments. I am strong. I am worthy. I am enough. All these different things, right? You make your own affirmations, and we say them over and over again in our head, right? Because even after that action that we want you to take of going chasing the man down when we lose the ball, or going scoring a goal, or go and get on the ball after maybe making a mistake when you try and pass the ball to her, or whatever it may be, action that we take, after that action is done, what way is our body language after that? Right? What way do we feel? Do we still feel a little bit off, or do we still feel like maybe we could do more, or maybe you're a little bit negative in your self-talk? Then the affirmations kick in then, right? I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and then we do it with action. So guys, if you enjoyed, let us know, and if you would like to get in touch with any questions that you may have, or if you as any feedback, let us know as best you can. You can pop us an email at info@developnpa.com, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks guys.